Tonight, as the war in the Middle East continues, the U.S. has halted a large shipment of offensive weapons to Israel. The decision comes as President Joe Biden pushes for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The shipment, though, was to include thousands of bombs. The Biden administration has been especially focused on ending Israel's use of 2,000-pound bombs in Gaza, but Israel already has a large arsenal, making the halt unlikely to stop an offensive in Rafah.
No final decision has been made on whether to proceed with the weapons delivery at a later time. And officials say the State Department is separately considering whether to approve future weapons transfers. Earlier this week, Israel Army seized control of a border crossing, a move that has U.S. officials saying that a limited operation and not a full-scale assault Biden has warned against.
So all of these military operations, these moves are happening. We're focused in on the southern Gaza city of Rafah, and international relations experts believe that an operation there could force Hamas into that ceasefire agreement.
And our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp has more.
It's been a couple of days since Israel's military pressed forward into Rafah. We spoke with Elliot Abrams on the situation. Abrams is a senior fellow for Middle Eastern Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations and a former Assistant Secretary of State. Abrams says Israel believes Hamas's leadership is operating out of Rafah.
The only thing that would stop them from continuing on to try to destroy Hamas's military power would be a negotiated ceasefire. And there isn't a negotiated ceasefire. And the Israelis are saying that whatever it is Hamas claims to have accepted, it's unacceptable to Israel.
There's been international concern about the offensive in Rafah, specifically about civilian harm. Before the Israeli military began their offensive, the IDF told civilians in Rafah to evacuate.
It's the very horrible, ugly nature of urban warfare, and it is exactly what Hamas has always planned. They build those tunnels to protect themselves, not to protect civilians. They put their arms and ammunition and headquarters underneath schools and hospitals and mosques in an effort to create the greatest number possible of civilian casualties. So there are going to be some.
For weeks, the Biden administration has said they do not support a military offensive in Rafah unless the Israelis could show how they would minimize civilian harm. Abrams believes the Biden administration needs to change their tune and be supportive of the offensive in Rafah.
If we look as if we're trying to hold the Israelis back, Hamas will just sit there and say, let the Americans restrain Israel. But if it looks as if we're supportive of the Israelis, then Hamas will realize they've got to do a deal.
In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp, Erie News Now.